Welcome back to Lucky Top Sports, episode 30.
Hey,
You've seen our faces at least 30 times if you're an OG subscriber.
30, baby.
Once again, it's great to be joined by Josh and Andrew. We'd like to reintroduce our sports betting partner, signupexpert.com and betstamp.com. Exciting news. We're thrilled to announce our partnership with Betstamp and SignUpExpert. This opens up an incredible opportunity for you as our fans to join some of our favorite sports books to get the best odds and new user offers. Head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/LockyTopSports to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and show some love for our brand, I highly recommend signing up for signupexpert.com using our link. Also, check out the QR code on the bottom right corner, and you can easily find the link in our description on their video. So let's get started here. We were red hot, guys, during Olympic basketball. Shout out USA, gold medalists. But we locked France last week, putting our record at a whopping 72-49.
Yeah, that was incredible. I gotta say, and I obviously I know that no bet lock doesn't count for anything, but Levine and I had our private chat going on, and we were just saying, how is Team USA gonna cover minus 17? Like minus 17. There's no way. So we were basically on our French fries moment, we're like, hey, you know what, like freedom fries are great, but we're team French fries for during the duration of the game, and we were on France plus first half, France full game, and all kinds of shit, and that was just incredible. Also, shout out to people who watched the women's game. I don't know like how many people actually watched it, but it was interesting for other reasons. I never knew how sloppy a game of basketball could be. That was incredible. Each team shooting like 30%, missing layups, and all that. And I understand that FIBA rules make it very difficult for people to foul, people to contest for positions, and then they have whole different rules for the parking in the paint and all that. But that being said, what an incredible run, guys. Like, I feel like I've been making the header up here ever since we launched. And for the last 4 weeks, I've not touched the lost session. So that's pretty good. So if you're listening to our show, I get it that we're giving you some bets that are like minus 120, minus 140. But hey, a lock is a lock.
Win's a win.
A win's a win, and all we can say is that we're very happy. Like, think back to one of our first shows where Devin had to personally guarantee that we're not gonna hover around, 500. Like, he had to publicly apologize to everyone that said, I quote, "Guys, I'm sorry. Like, this is unacceptable. If I was good, you could tell me. If I was shit, you could fade me. But I'm going 500, which means that you're just punting your juice to the bookies and making bookies reach. And I publicly apologize, and I guarantee that's not going to be the case anymore." And that was in January, guys. So January,
we gotta pull that. We gotta pull the film up on that one, guys. We gotta find that one. We gotta play that one.
We're gonna have that video. Vivian's personal guarantee that we will never be 500 again. And here we are.
I know we're all Tennessee. Yeah, I know we're all Tennessee fans on here, but it was kind of Tebow-esque. The Tebow promise when they lost to Ole Miss, and then they went on.
Can we stick to Babe Ruth or something? Like, do we have to stick to Tebow? Can we stick to Babe Ruth? Like, home run right there, boom.
All right, yeah, he called a shot. There you go.
Yeah, he called the shot. There we go. Like, hey, come on, proper Yankees metaphor here. Like, We don't have to resort to Florida metaphor unless
You're
we
right.
have to.
You're right. I mean, I don't know which is worse, a Yankees metaphor or a Gators metaphor, but I digress.
Come on, Josh. What
two guys.
really riles you up? Let's be honest. Does this rile you up, or the Yankees fans talking about how many World Series rings they have? Come on.
Yeah, I'd say probably if I had to choose the one I detest the most, it'd probably be the Gators by a long shot. But still not a big Yankees fan. They give me the icks.
Nice one. So I think we'll fire again in the spirit of football coming up. We felt like we needed to get you more picks. Maybe one pick is not enough.
And it's football.
Football coming
up. As I
up.
quote Adriana Lima, it's the different type of football that's starting this week.
Yeah, so 24 days left till football. For some people, even less for those people on Thursday nights. But I wanted you guys to be blessed by Chase without him being involved this week. He gave us some picks from down in South Carolina, and he's saying for UFC 305 or 306 now, maybe. It is Idril Adesanya by decision, Kai Kara France by TKO, and Tai Tuivasa by KO. Purposely didn't want to give out lines today because you should be looking at those lines on betstamp.com. So you can get your best odds there. So just leaving that up to you as a fan to figure those out. I know these vary a lot depending on when you bet as well. So if I give you a line and it's plus right now, it might be negative by the time you go on and bet on Saturday night when you're watching this. So just want to be
UFC 305. Where my 305 homies at? That's Southern Florida, right?
305 to my city.
305 exactly. All right, so definitely please guys, bet responsibly. We here it's a show for entertainment, so sometimes we exaggerate when someone like me or Josh or Naveen say it's a lock. I mean, it's a lock, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you should be betting out of your available means, right? Always bet responsibly. We always recommend using a unit system, and like you don't deviate from your usual average unit. And what a unit is that you're comfortable losing unit times X amount of times, right? So like say for example, like Naveen, like if I ask you what a unit is, maybe your definition of unit and my definition of unit and Josh's definition of unit may be completely different. But we all agree that we can't be firing 100 units lock. Like that's not acceptable. And we see that on Twitter so much.
$100 each. Yeah, you can't do it.
We see that on Twitter and Reddit and all of these betting platforms so much that I just want to like warn you guys. And this is like my genuine, heartfelt message, right? Like at the end of the day, you can bet whatever you want, but please have a system. Please do not try to chase what you think you've lost or what you think you could have potentially won. Because at the end of the day, I'll quote you guys one of the greatest investors of our lifetime, Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, during the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis, somebody interviewed him and said, "Oh, hey, Mr. Buffett, like, how fucked are you? Like, like everything's down to shit. Like, and you're invested in tons of shit." And Mr. Buffett said, "Oh, I'm not worried about it because I didn't lose anything. I haven't cashed out anything. Sure, I'm still holding on to my positions, and they're not at optimal positions, but I've made the investment in this with a long-term view, and sometimes like you're gonna go through some of these like obstacles, but at the end of the day, until I sell it, I don't recognize the loss. And like for those of you guys who are like who have any background in accounting, like that kind of rings true, right? Like you don't recognize your loss until you recognize it. So, similarly here, it's like I'm not trying to promote reckless betting, but at the same time, like if you guys think that you have some kind of thing, just stick to your method, right? Like don't worry about, okay, like hey, whatever method that you have that you're sticking to is down, whatever, just stick to it. Don't try to chase it and try to reverse whatever the observation is. Like if you're down 20 units or whatever, don't try to like craft a play that's a mega lock, that's a 25 unit lock. And that's how you find yourself down 50 units, 100 units. And that again, like, this is here at Lucky Top Sports, we promote like responsible gambling, and as much as we promote gambling odds and stuff, like we also want to like make sure that you guys are following what we're saying. When we say we're something is a lock, sure, it may be a lock, it may be a lock of the century, but you determine how much you want to bet on the lock of the century, right? Like this is a show and there's some entertainment value, and we want to make sure that you guys are listening to that.
Cool. So I think, and you had two soccer locks. Why don't you introduce those? We're getting back into some, official European League soccer. So let's, why don't you take us through those?
Yeah. So all I will say is again, like when you guys think about what is public and what constitutes a favorite versus an underdog, and here at Lucky Top Sports, we love the dogs, right?
All the
as
dogs.
yeah,
We're like
as
we're
the,
like fucking we're like Drake over here,
yeah,
all the dogs.
as one of our greatest philosophers of our lifetime, Mr. Ramachandran said, all dogs go to heaven. And there's a reason for that, right? Like if you blindly, and I promise you, if you blindly tell all dogs to cover the spread in every sport betting picks that you made, you will be profitable. And there's a reason for that, right? Because when bookies set the lines, there's a lot of hypes. There's a lot of hypes, and there's a lot of expectations that, and then there's a lot of also like a bookmaking, like, oh, this is like a team that the public likes versus this is a team that's not gonna get so much action. So taking all of those into account, what I really like is whenever I see some things, and I think I touched up on this during the Copa America, when I talked about like Argentina versus Colombia. No, Argentina versus what? It might have been Argentina versus Chile, where it's like under 2 minus 160, and I said, guys, like that's a no brainer. That is a very solid lock that you could potentially throw like 10 units on. So similarly speaking here, we have La Liga and Premier League opening this weekend. Football is back. Not the football that you guys might be waiting for, but a different type of football that is back. And think about what Vegas and every other like form of bookies are wanting you to bet. Like everyone wants an exciting shootout, like 5-3 on soccer.
Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait.
Do not take the bait. Exactly. So look at this, like Las Palmas versus Sevilla. Sevilla is like a great team that's been like shipping the Europa League for like 4 straight years, whatever. Under 2.25. And here's where I'm gonna give you guys a lesson on what's called an Asian odds. As a resident,
Why
Asian,
are you giving us a
on
lesson, Andy?
on this podcast, I will tell you what Asian odds are. And I'll be honest,
God.
I did not know what Asian odds were until I got into betting to soccer. And what Asian odds are is that if the line is 2 or 2.5, Asian odd means you pick the middle, 2.25, 2.25. But it's basically you're betting half of your bet on 2 and half of your bet in 2.5. So in this case, under 2.25, what does that mean? That means, let's say if you're betting, for the sake of the ease of the calculation, because it's minus 120, let's say you're betting $120 to win $100 in Asian odds. What that really means is that you're betting $60 in under 2 and $60 in under 2.5. And the reason why you do that is because you can push. When you bet the under 2 and the game ends 1-1 or 2-0 or 0-2, so that part of the bet pushes, but the 2.5 cashes in. That's what's called the Asian odds. And funny enough, I didn't know this natively. Naveen was the one who taught me the magic of the Asian odds. And to be clear, Indians are also Asians, right? Like just not East Asians, but hey, Asian odds. So it makes sense that Naveen
South
knew
Asian, dude.
all the things about Asian odds, and I didn't know anything about Asian odds. So I was like, "Oh, yo, dude, what does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, dude, just try this 2.25." I was like, "Oh, 2.25? What? What is this 25% shit?" But the reason why I bring this up is so Las Palmas. I don't know if you guys are aware of where that's located. So Spaniards, right? They were one of the 4 countries that were really participating in colonizing Africa and parts of America and such. Britain, Spain, Portugal, and like if you think and France, and if you think about it now, like where are they with these things? And sometimes like, and then you realize, oh shit, there's a La Liga team that's competing with the rest of the teams in Spain in their Primera Liga, and that is Las Palmas. And for any team to play in Las Palmas, you have to fly 4 hours down. So think about it as like Giants playing the Rams, right? And that's like something that's documented as like a trap game. Like whenever you play Las Palmas at home, you're not gonna be like in your best condition because you literally flew hours, to fly to like the Canarian Islands, like on the left side of Africa, and you're dealing with not only the time difference but also like jet lagging and everything, and they typically tend to do very shady. So again, here at Lakita Sports, we love anything that we can attribute to patterns, scientific analysis. And my BBA tells me that Las Palmas versus Sevilla, as one of the opening kickoff games for La Liga, everybody thinks it's gonna be a high scoring game, but it's not. And there's a reason why this is a minus 120, not a plus 120. Whenever you see lines like that, I say smash it. And my second pick is Chelsea Man City, and I think we talked about this a little bit towards the when we were first starting the podcast. But what we call the Big Six in Premier League, so that is Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Arsenal. And we call them the Big Six because they're the ones that are rotating through the top 4 positions, which guarantees the Champions League appearance in the Premier League. It's kind of like you can almost think of it as like the Big Four in tennis, where it was like Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, Murray, or in like NFL where we're like oh yeah, like Brady Pets, Manning Colts, and then like Flacco Ravens or whatever it is. So similarly speaking, like the Big Six, the whole history is there, and the thing is like the rivalry there it's kind of like a Bama Tennessee, or like a LSU Florida, or like a Georgia Auburn. Like these are like a long standing rivalries that when we look at the head to head history in the Premier League, they always disappoint. And I mean disappoint as in like in the results. Like you never see like a complete wrecking, or like it's always like, oh, like a 0-0, or like a 1-0, 1-1, 2-2 type of things. Like the last time Devin and I watched the Champions League finals together for Chelsea versus Man City, it was 1-0, despite everyone thinking like, oh, Man City is gonna win like 4-1 because they're such a powerhouse. That's just like how the rivalry game works. Like think of like the SEC Bama versus LSU, like 6-3 or 9-6, whatever it was, right? So that's kind of like how it goes. And I feel like the first game of the Premier League, obviously Chelsea is a mega underdog here, but just kind of like looking at the pattern analysis here, I think the draw at plus 300 offers a lot of value. And again, we like to hunt for the value picks here. Like if you're betting minus 300, locking a lock is great when you're betting on like a Floyd Mayweather, or things like that. But nothing I've seen out of our sports world since Floyd, or like a Nadal on clay court, has given me confidence that I can bet whatever I want and gonna win. So we like to like hunt for locks and values. And then when I think about values, I think when I see a draw like this, where I historically Man City and Chelsea, out of like last 20 head to head, I think they had like 10 draws. And that's crazy if you think about it. 10 out of 20 times draw. That doesn't happen a lot of times. Like and plus 300, you're getting 3x odds. And I think that's a value pick. So that's the reason why I think this is our pick of the week.
Awesome. So let's go back to the other football and talk about the preseason list for top 25. Josh, why don't you start us off here? We got a nice graphic going on of the AP top 25.
The top 25, yeah. Yeah, before we dive in the top 25 real quick, I do appreciate Andrew going really in depth about the value picks and how to be responsible. One best bet that didn't make it on there is, and we'll talk about this since we're running into the football, is Joe Milton anytime touchdown in his preseason game tomorrow night against Philadelphia Eagles. So apparently he's the best preseason quarterback of all time. Us Tennessee and Michigan fans know that Patriot fans will be extremely disappointed in the coming weeks if they put all their eggs in that basket. But I digress. I think that's going to be a good pick for you guys. So anytime touchdown, Joe Milton. So, but switching gears here back to the college football AP top 25. I would have to say I don't have a whole lot of heartburn with some of these, folks being ranked where they are. There are some that stick out to me that are a little bit like, what are you doing? And that would have to be Notre Dame at number 7, Michigan at number 9, Florida State at 10, Mizzou at 11. And
let me ask you this, Josh.
Clemson
are you saying
14.
Those are overrated?
Absolutely. All of those in my mind are definitely overrated. And I think there could be an argument made for why is Alabama in the top 5. So those stick out to me kind of, just like a cheap sports writer or columnist pick because of name branding without really doing much homework. I mean, just for an example, we could use Michigan. Michigan is only returning 6 starters from last year's national championship team. And for the life of me, I don't have a lot of faith and confidence in the coach that they hired just to be a Band-Aid. After Jim Harbaugh bolted, see what I did there? Bolted for the NFL. So
your dad jokes are, evolving now. That
they're coming in, man. Hey, when you get three little ones, man, the dad jokes just come, secondhand nature. But I'll say that, Michigan is highly inflated and overrated there in the 9-hole spot. Florida State also, I think we've seen kind of a precursor to I think how their schedule's going to wind up going after the Georgia game.
Just quote my girlfriend here, who was at the Tennessee Georgia game.
Okay,
and I say she said, Andrew, I thought you said Tennessee was like fucking worth or something. Like, what is this bullshit? Like, they're getting their ass kicked. And then I said, okay, babe, like, look, they're the number 1 team in the country. Like, like, we have a shit quarterback, and we're doing our best despite the shit
Milton,
quarterback.
by the way, Joe
and
Milton,
then
by the way.
and then a month and a half later, we're watching this bowl game, and I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I don't like to like gloat a lot of times, but I know it's okay. Babe, look at this shit. Like, number 5 team in the country is getting their ass kicked by Georgia, and they can't score anything. They've let and again, like,
now I'll be fair, Andrew, not to catch up, but I'll be fair to Florida State. They had a lot of transfers. I think a lot of the wind was taken out of their sails when the committee.
Oh, but same for Georgia, right? Like, a lot of Georgia players were like, "Oh, we're not playing for shit. Like, we're not in the championship." They didn't really try. Come on.
Yeah, but they didn't have as many transfer out. They did have some I think more
Jordan Travis, right?
Yeah, Jordan Travis with their quarterback. But I would say Georgia probably had something to prove. With
let me ask you this, guys. Florida State versus Tennessee last year. Do you think Florida State wins by more than 2 touchdowns?
I think Tennessee would beat them, and I would put a spread at 7.5 for Tennessee.
Yeah. Whoa. 7.5 is high, but I do agree with you, Josh. I don't think Florida State beats Tennessee.
No, not at all.
Because I've seen their games against some of the ACC opponents, and I was like, "What the absolute?"
And that's not orange colored glasses. I see the animation on Naveen's face. So I'd like to let Naveen. Let's let Naveen chime in.
Number 25 here, Iowa, guys. Iowa.
I was irrelevant, man. They'll score 3 points and give up 30. Naveen, I want to go back to you, man. I'm seeing it. He's having these animated facial expressions. I want to get his take here. Why do you think the Seminoles would have been able to do business against Tennessee last year?
Okay, full strength, like regular season game, Seminoles versus Tennessee. I think Seminoles by at least 7 would be what Vegas would put it at. And I tend to agree with them based on having Joe Milton and kind of.
Yeah, but also we saw what Florida State does when they meet like a competent offense and not the bullshit opponents they played, right? It's the same story.
I mean,
Iowa.
They barely beat Clemson. They barely beat. I mean, that was the last possession.
Guys, you guys know what's a funny story? Iowa defense adjusted was the number 4 defense in the country last year. And how they do it is basically the metric is that you take all of the scores and then you divide it by possessions, but you take out garbage time possessions, which means if Iowa was nowhere near the opponent in a game, that additional score doesn't count. So Iowa played 3 ranked teams in their schedule last year.
So basically meaningful snaps. Yeah, meaningful possessions.
Yeah, exactly. Penn State, Michigan, and Tennessee, right? And according to this formula, none of the scores that happened in the fourth quarter versus Penn State or Michigan or Tennessee counted against their defensive rankings. And that is why Iowa at the end of the year was in the top 5 for like defensive, ranking for football. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, can we really say Iowa was the 5th, or 4th, 5th, 3rd, whatever, at worst, 5th best defense in the country? Probably not. By whatever metric that you come up with, sure, per possession, per whatever bullshit, yeah, it qualifies. But can you really say this is a top 5 defense that can go against any top 5 offense in the country and hold their own? I would argue no. And for that reason, I feel like there's a lot of like, you know, skewing here. And I'm not saying that Tennessee is that great, but you're looking at Florida State and you look at their strength of schedule. Who have they played, right? Every time they played anyone worth a beat, they got their ass kicked. So that's where I challenge you,
not
Naveen,
wrong.
to justify that and say, oh, despite getting their ass kicked, I think they would still kick their ass versus Tennessee because they kicked the ass of a comparable opponent, which, to my knowledge, there is not a comparable opponent. They kicked the ass off.
So I know Joe Milton never loses in Florida, but I just know Joe Milton versus these Florida teams doesn't end up well. I think that if you had full strength Keon Travis,
but how can you say that Joe Milton doesn't lose in Florida and then say, Joe Milton's gonna lose versus Florida State? Like, so are we talking like a Neyland Stadium catastrophe? Is that in your scenarios here?
Could be. I just don't think that we would win versus a full strength Florida State. I do want to call out two teams that I think could surprise people. Number 17, Oklahoma State. They're kind of flying under the radar, and number 21, Arizona. Kind of sneaky teams that I think might outperform their coverage on this list. I will say that Tennessee seems a little low, and that's not just a bias.
Why do you think Tennessee's low, Naveen?
Because they're ranked below Missouri and Clemson and Notre Dame.
I would even argue LSU there too. But
yeah.
Why do you think that they should not, or why do you think they should be ahead of those teams?
I just don't think that they have too many like clear losses on their schedule. Like we went through
it's all about the losses versus gains, right?
Yeah. So like I think that we have two potential losing spots, Bama and Georgia. But I think that these other teams have a bunch of them, like especially Michigan, Penn State.
Like this would look different if TEX had a different schedule,
right?
Versus UT. And if UT had TEX's schedule, I think you could potentially argue Tennessee at top 5 because like playing that schedule, it's like who are you gonna fucking lose to, right? But then again, like that is what you're dealing with as an like an SEC, school, and I think that is actually, I don't think that's like a unfair advantage or anything. I think it's actually like it gives creds. It's like a street creds thing. Like, yo, you survived the SEC schedule. You earned the respect of the nation.
Yeah, I would say, when I look at these preseason AP top 25s, for me, I go to the line of thinking is for these columnists and these voters here is this is how they envision the season playing out, correct? Like at the end of the year, they think this would probably be the top 25. So in my mind, I'm kind of with you on why, the why I think Tennessee should be ahead might be a little different than yours because I just think Tennessee is going to be a playoff team because of kind of some of the things that you brought up with the scheduling, right? I just don't think Missouri's schedule aligns to get them into the playoffs, and there are going to be other schools that squeak into that top 12 positions for those 12 seeds in the playoffs that are not going to be in these Power 4 conferences, right?
Right.
So
we talked about that when Naveen's cousin was on the show last week, and
Big Texas. That's right.
How without that schedule, like, was the easiest we've ever seen. And like, as a Tennessee fan, if I've ever seen a schedule like that from say 2004 to 2022, I would tell you with confidence we go 10-2 minimum every year, right? Like that schedule is very soft. But that being said, again, like look, we're here to listen to you guys' opinions, and if you think like we're not doing a good job in predicting, please let us know. Comment, like, subscribe, and let us know. Like, hey, you guys are smoking crack. We're down to listen to that feedback. And honestly, like sometimes like Josh and I, we smoke that, home field advantage pack a little bit, and we and Naveen sometimes like he's got that cynical pack a little bit. But then again, like at the end of the day, like I'll tell you
has
guys,
his cup
like,
on, and I can appreciate that. As a Vol fan, I never take the cup off because the swift kick to the nuts is coming at any time.
And honestly, like there's never anyone more cynical than me when it comes to Tennessee, because I still remember the day that Mr. Josh Ricker tried to convince me to become a Tennessee fan and said, "Hey man, like this is like a great sport, like American football, dude. You should like learn this shit. Like, do you even know what this is?" Like, no, like we don't play this shit in Korea. Yeah, sure I am, dude. This is the greatest sport ever. Yo, we have this guy called Peyton Manning. Like he's like, greatest ever. And
He's in
our
the NFL
team, like
now, but he
we
played
made
at Tennessee.
Alabama
That's
and
right.
Georgia and Florida our bitch. I was like, oh, cool. And that's when the shit started, So again, I'm gonna say, hey, for
Andrew became a
reason.
Tennessee football fan. Just for context, everybody out there that's listening,
Exactly, and
Andrew became a Tennessee fan in 2004,
and that's how you guys know this is my I guess prove it moment, is that I'm not a bandwagon fan, because if I were a bandwagon fan, I'd be an Alabama fan or a Georgia fan. But guess what? It's not. Like I've decided to stick with it. But that all being said, guys, like seriously, like if you have any like doubts about how we just broke down the AP top 25, please comment and let us know. Like let us know like why you think us saying Tennessee should deserve more than like higher than top 15 is
well,
justified or not justified.
Yeah, I would also say, before we hop off this subject, even Oregon, like what's going on there?
No
do you
Bo
think,
Nix.
do you
Like,
think,
who's gonna
do
bail
you
them out?
think, yeah, but Naveen, do you think their move to the Big Ten has kind of positioned them for that position? And Ryan Day, they're the Fighting Ryan Days at number 2.
I think
Georgia. Like I don't disagree with that, but when I look at this thing kind of holistically, and even Texas A&M snuck in there, like first year coach. I think there's a lot of questions there. Oklahoma, I'm okay with. I think that's just kind of name brand. We went through their schedule. Oklahoma will not be ranked by the end of the year. Like it's just not happening. But let me get your thoughts about Oregon there, bud. I think it's more of their move from Pac-12 to Big Ten.
So I think their schedule is not too difficult. They're getting a decent transfer quarterback.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma.
Long-time veteran of college football. I remember
he was at UCF.
UCF days used to hit those team total overs with Dylan
he's
Gabriel
got the Josh Heupel connection everywhere, like UCF to Oklahoma to.
Yeah, so I think they have a pretty good defense, solid coach. Their schedule's not too bad, and then they're now finally playing like big time ranked opponents, right? They're getting, I think they're playing Michigan, they're playing Ohio State, so their strength of schedule is going way up with keeping their schedule not too difficult. So I think it's a good mix for them. And also there's a huge void left off by Bama being shaky, Michigan being shaky, and
Penn State, and Notre Dame. I don't know. I'm still very
Georgia being Georgia, and having half the team as convicts. So it can really go anywhere. Ohio State, I will say that like they definitely had the most hype in the offseason with their transfers.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're number 2.
Well, I've seen Florida State. They've cooked pretty decently in the offseason and the transfer portal too. So won't take anything away from them. But let's say you had to take this top 25. If you had to pick out of these 25 teams, give me your top 10 real quick, Naveen.
Okay. Just for continuity, I would keep Georgia in the top 1. Texas number 2.
Oh my God, your cousin's rubbing off on you. Keep going.
Ohio State 3. Maybe Ole Miss at 4. Honestly, they got quite a team. Oregon at 5. Bama at 6. That's fine. And then
Bama at 6.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think Oregon has to be above Bama at this point.
With 10-2, Bama is at 6.
Yeah, 10-2 could be Bama at 6 or 5, depending on what happens in the above. And then I'm not as down on Michigan as everybody else. I think there's a lot of disrespect here for a national championship team to be number 9 now.
There's a lot of
disrespect for.
They're only returning 6 players.
That's fine, dude.
There's only 6 players coming back from that team. That's not 6 players on offense. That's 6 starters, offense and defense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
and a new coach that's not going to be their coach in 3 years. Let's just be honest.
So that's one factor. I think you could honestly safely put.
I would put Michigan in maybe in the 20 spot.
I don't know.
Oh wow, no, you're generous.
That's crazy.
Dang, dude, Michigan. Come fact check me after the season. Michigan is not gonna be in top 20 at the end of the season.
Yeah, they'll barely scrape into like one of those.
They won't scrape or anything. Like they're not gonna be.
No, I'm saying
20.
they're gonna scrape into one of those like mid-tier bowls. That's it.
Okay.
You see where
Ohio State, even if they don't, Ryan Day's fired. But Ohio State is going to beat that team up north this year. I'm calling my shot now. Like, you want to talk about blood bank guarantees and fucking locks? That one, that's it right there.
Okay.
So
yeah, maybe Tennessee at 10. I would say
you think so? You put them in the top 10, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go real fast. We go Georgia 1. I would say go ahead and keep Ohio State number 2, just for Ryan Day's safe haven there in Buckeye country, because if he doesn't get it done this year, he's gone. It's the inevitable. I would probably put Ole Miss number 3. I think Lane Kiffin's cooking. Jackson Dart, we've talked about them. We kind of previewed their season. Then I would say
keep Texas at 4.
No, I would say Oregon at 4. I'd move Texas to 5. I'd probably move Tennessee up to 6. And then status quo outside of Michigan, I would say probably flip Michigan and Utah. And then everybody else can just kind of fight for wherever they want to line up there in the top 25. But NC State, sneaky low. NC State, sneaky low for me. I would probably move NC State up a little bit. I know I want to stick to top 10 here, but I'd probably move them up to that 16, 17 spot.
Yeah. So
But is it because of the quality loss?
I think it's
Tennessee or.
No, I think I obviously want the quality win against NC State. But
you're saying this at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's saying like ACC is going to be soft. So by the time the season ends, they might be higher than
20. Yeah, than what they are right now.
So let me ask you. So NC State and Tennessee, before the season, because like honestly, like preseason means nothing, right?
Yeah, no. But we're
So
talking about what it's probably going to look like at the end of the year.
right.
Yeah.
So what it's gonna look like at the end of the year? Where is NC State and where's Tennessee? And I only say that because
yeah.
they're playing like in
I know.
the season, right?
I think at the end of the year, like I said, I would move NC State up to that right outside top 15, and then obviously Tennessee making the playoffs, so they're in the top 10 for me.
Okay.
Well, any major changes for you, Andy, in this top 25 or top 12?
Yeah. So for me, I think Ole Miss moves to number 2. So it'll be Georgia and Ole Miss, and after that, it's anybody's guess. But
You're really high on Ole Miss, huh? I mean, I know I had them at 3, but I just I think the thought process.
Having it 3 versus 2, like I don't know if that's like having it any higher.
Not really. It's
in terms of like making the playoffs. But yeah, like I do. I don't think any team other than Georgia could 100% guarantee that they could beat Ole Miss on a neutral field. Like I would dare any fan to make that fucking claim and say we would beat Ole Miss on a neutral field in 2024 season, all healthy. I don't think any fans would dare to say we can. And that's my sort of basis. And even as a Tennessee fan, I don't think we can say that. So that's my basis for Georgia and Ole Miss.
If Tennessee were to play Ole Miss in the SEC championship game, you think Ole Miss is gonna win that game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
I think that's a lock. Yeah, Ole Miss would win. And unfortunately, I have to, if we want to just hear some, home, I guess like a whatever you want to call it, right? Like a biased opinion or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you say like would Ole Miss or Tennessee make it through a SEC championship game, and maybe that's not even about the strength of the team, but just like knowing the history of like how shit just kind of like happens. Yeah, like I would feel like Ole Miss.
Tennessee's Ole Miss's daddy. No, Tennessee's Ole Miss's daddy. Yeah, historically, hell yeah, bro. Yeah, we
are they? Them. But like, is Tennessee the daddy for all teams making through like SEC championship? I don't think so. I don't know, man. You tell me. I'm not seen Tennessee win an SEC championship since you introduced me to college football.
Yeah, no, so. I mean,
look, I'm trying to be like humoristic.
No, I got you. I think that's I don't want to say it's a weird take. I just don't know how to explain kind of what you asked me, but like Tennessee in SEC championship games, I honestly think in their appearances they have a winning record. I'd have to go back and check that, but I think it's I think it's overwhelmingly
right.
But I know we've won 13. We won 13 SEC championships, which is second in the conference.
Right, but that's under the old construct of East versus West.
East and West, yeah. No, I got it. But it wasn't always East and West. So East and West didn't happen until 1992 when we added South Carolina and Arkansas to the league. So before that,
was it like that before then?
Prior to it's like it is now.
It wasn't. We weren't winning shit before then.
No, we won 13. So over the time before 1992, before the construct of the East and West divisions, we won SEC championships.
Yeah, again, like I think like I'm not disputing that Tennessee is a more established program than Ole Miss. I just think that if these
I think the last time Ole Miss won an SEC championship, fucking Archie Manning, his Peyton's daddy was the quarterback. Let me go back and I just want to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Okay, I mean, again, look, like I just think that this year, if Ole Miss and Tennessee like went head to head, and that's the beauty of like making these predictions, right?
Yeah,
because like we don't know how good Nico's gonna be, but like right now, from what I've seen, like I would not be surprised if Nico, Tennessee loses to Jackson Dart, Ole Miss. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love for any of you guys to dispute that, but I don't. I
Well,
haven't
I
seen
think
enough of that.
I think there's a lot of unknowns, and here's the thing, and this is going to be probably the hottest take I've had so far this offseason. I think Nico is going to be an extremely important part of Tennessee in how our season turns out. But I will say this: I think our defense is highly underrated, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on us defensively. So I would all day put our Jimmies and Joes, especially what I'm seeing coming out of summer camp. I'd put our Jimmies and Joes against fucking Ole Miss's Jimmies and Joes and see how it shakes out.
How do you know?
Well, I mean, no one knows. No one knows that. This is why it's a take. Like, this is just my opinion. It's not a fact. So I don't know. I can't prove it. But just based off of the things that I'm seeing from Tennessee, all the things I see on SEC Network, the message boards that I see, just perusing the internet, perusing Twitter, because you get kind of inundated with all those things and kind of pick up on some things just kind of through osmosis with the other fan bases and how they talk about it on social media. But I'm not counting out Tennessee. There's no way that I just say, yeah, fuck it. Ole Miss owns us if we play at a neutral site game. I think if there had to be a line, I would say it's 1.5 either way. It's a coin toss for me between Ole Miss and Tennessee.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So Devin, why don't you take us through our normal SEC schedule preview, speaking of the schedules and how difficult it is to play in the SEC.
Okay. So we got Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. They got the rank of Notre Dame already up there. That's quite the game to start off with, honestly. I guess it's they're trying to.
Is it?
I mean, you're starting off with number 17, and looking at how the other SEC teams have started week one. Andy, I think you're muted. But
no, I was gonna say you're right. It's a night game on ABC, right?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like,
so they chose that.
Of the teams that we've looked at.
Oh, sorry. 4 p.m. game. Excuse me.
Of the teams we've looked at, this is, I think, one of the harder games, I guess, based on the ranking. Texas A&M review of their website. They got this meat advertisement. It's typical in Texas. They're showing you the beef.
Know your rancher, bro.
Know your rancher. 44.
Well, what is the 44 though? Like
44
you know anything about that?
44 Farms is just a farm in Texas, okay. I think it might be like a co-op of farms. Maybe there's 44 farms that supply this.
I don't know. I was just trying to think, like, is this like a Mike Jones reference here? 4-4, like
maybe.
You need to educate us on this Texas references. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not too sure.
Is this tipping on 4-4 or?
No, this is some hardcore beef stuff, I guess. So, I would say it's hard to predict this game. I would say that maybe they start off with a loss at home.
Whoa! What do you mean hard to predict? Against Notre Dame? Wow.
Notre Dame's going to go in there and fucking destroy them. It's not going to be close.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you guys both think Notre Dame wins.
Shout out to my boy Brian Kaltenecker, huge Notre Dame fan. I know we're going to have lunch Friday, so I don't want any turbulence there. Right. But
for the sake of the show, guys, I'm going to take
Notre Dame's going to win now. No.
Texas A&M.
It's not going to happen, Andrew. It's not going to happen.
Can you guarantee it? If you can guarantee it, let me know. We'll make a side bet on this.
I would say the same thing to you. Can you guarantee that Notre Dame's not going to win?
Yeah, I actually can.
All right.
Okay. Boom. Let's do it.
All right. So the next game.
Josh and I have a money line bet on this, guys. Let's do it. Okay. Love it. I love it. I just got a very profitable bet on this. I love it.
All right. McNeese State. It's a dub for TAMU. No doubt about that. So 1-1 going into the swamp on September 14th.
September 14th.
We've been
Sean,
super high. We've been
weekend
super high.
we've been always
I know.
going. It's the
That's
third
right.
week of September.
September. That's right. We've been really high on Billy Napier, Naveen. So, give me Florida here. I think Florida wins. I think even when we previewed them, we previewed them to win this game.
We did.
And then the absolute colossal collapse ensued for the Gators after that. But yeah, give me Florida. A&M's still trying to figure themselves out, man. So on to Bowling Green. Who you got, Naveen?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't win this game versus Bowling Green, like you got serious problems. I don't know if they're going to offer you buyouts.
Bigger than Jimbo's buyout?
Yeah, dude. I don't know what kind of buyout you could get if you lose this game. I will say that, you got to collect these wins against these opponents that like McNeese and Bowling Green, because the rest of the schedule's not a cakewalk, at least by preseason rankings. By the fact of preseason rankings, so I will say you got to get it done versus Bowling Green. Arkansas, Andy, any thoughts here?
Well, I'm pretty sure I said that A&M is gonna win this game when we did the Arkansas schedule, just based on that the home and away, and also like how terrible like Arkansas is gonna be. So yeah, this is an L for me, certified L.
Okay, Josh.
Well, it's a Jerry's world, man. So give me A&M, man. I'm not high on Arkansas. You can bring Bobby Petrino's ass back down there to be their offensive coordinator. You can do whatever you want. It just Sam Pittman's on borrowed time, man. Arkansas is going to lose. Give me the Aggies.
Okay. Next game, Mississippi State.
Missouri. No, Missouri.
Oh, sorry, Missouri. October 5th, early game, 11 a.m. I think Missouri should get this done on the road here, and should be a loss for Texas A&M. Andy?
I don't think so. I think Texas A&M wins here. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, Missouri to me, it reminds me a lot of
right there, Andrew.
A lot of Michigan State. Hey, it reminds me a lot of Michigan State with Ken Walker, where they just had like a crazy running back that was just carrying the team. And you can look back and like identify some of these, right? Like Michigan State with Ken Walker, Missouri, and even like Tennessee with Kamara. Like, again, all I want to say here is that like I feel like those workhorses are like unappreciated, and when you like realize like, oh, like how good was this team versus like what, like you think about like Michigan State, right? Like after Kenneth Walker like left, that fucking team like fell apart, and I can totally see that for Missouri, and for that reason, again, like there's no like scientific like research or anything, but just based on like my empirical, I guess, observation, I want to say whenever a team has like a running back that carries the team and then they leave, they think it's easy to like replace the gap, but it's not.
You're talking about Cody Schrader's production from last year?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Schrader. I mean, I think he's a generational talent from Missouri.
And they might not realize that. It's just like the Kenneth Walker.
Well, I think that's why. I think that's why everybody's high on him, because of the results that they had last year. And I think they kind of have like the Tennessee effect that Tennessee had last year. So coming off the Orange Bowl, we lose
Mhm.
Hendon Hooker, we lose Jalen Hyatt, we lose Cedric Tillman off offense, we lose Jeremy Banks on the defense. I know he had some baggage there, so that was kind of that might have been an addition by subtraction with that. But I'll say we had a lot of hype coming into last year, and then we kind of took some steps back. That's what I predict for Missouri. Honestly, I think they'll take further steps back than they had last year.
Exactly. I don't think they realize how big of a hole
But I
Cody
think they win
Schrader
this
brings.
game. But I think they win this game.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
A&M winning, not Missouri.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was gonna
Just for
say
clarity.
yeah.
A&M wins this game. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we differ on that one. Mississippi State at Mississippi State.
Oh, come on. If A&M loses to Mississippi State, like they might as well shut their fucking football program down. I'm sorry. That's how I feel about it after the amount of like investment they had into their program.
Yeah. Josh, why don't you tell us about this LSU game?
Yeah, this is always a funny one between LSU and A&M. It's at Kyle Field, and it's really hard for me to want to give Brian Kelly any type of credit or any vote of confidence that he'll get it done. But I just don't think at this point in the year, I think LSU will have figured themselves out. Their identity will be kind of known to them. And Brian Kelly, you say what you want about him, but he does win. And I would say,
whoa,
LSU is going to take care of business at Kyle Field. Mike Elko is just not. He's not doing it for me in year one at A&M.
Josh, you're 100% right. I agree with you.
If this was year two, okay, but LSU, they're a little bit more established.
Yep.
I know we're replacing a lot of offensive production with Jaden Daniels being gone and Malik Neighbors. I know replacing that's going to be tough, but LSU
it's not going to be that tough.
Yeah, LSU they kind of can reload on a lot of these year in year out kind of, especially with the transfer portal. Brian Kelly's done a good job, as much as it pains me to say that. But I think LSU gets it done. What's your thoughts on that, Naveen?
I really don't trust the LSU quarterback, Nussmeier.
Whoa,
Nussmeier, come on, dude.
But you trust A&M? Whoa, it's a hot take. This is a very hot take. Naveen.
Texas A&M was complete ass last year, Naveen, and they've had to overhaul a lot.
I'm just saying, it ain't Jaden Daniels you're going up against. So I think
Nussmeier's not bad. I mean, but who do you think Connor Weigman's going to be the answer for an A&M? Like Connor Weigman couldn't even do. I mean,
it's also not Johnny Manziel. They're going against either for A&M.
Exactly.
Let me just say, hey,
very pedestrian Connor Weigman, an A&M at quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be fair,
is it Johnny? Is it Johnny on A&M side? Then I would concede.
If Jimbo Fisher, who offensive minded guy, if he couldn't get the job done with Connor, I don't know that Mike Elko has the magic elixir that's going to fix Weigman. But and I know he had a broken bone, so he got injured last year and everything. So he's coming back off of that too. So there's a lot of things kind of coming into that. He's got to learn a new system. Colin Klein, good OC, but there's a lot of different terminology that Colin Klein's going to be throwing at Weigman versus what Jimbo had for him there last year. So learning a new system, all the install that goes into that. LSU, I think, has the advantage.
But that's good.
And that's why I prefaced that. I said, maybe year 2 or 3, A&M maybe has a better shake in this game. Maybe I like their chances a little bit better, but give me the Tigers.
That's good, because we want some hot takes, right? So Naveen has the hot takes.
Gig'em ain't gonna happen that night to LSU. So, but that I do appreciate the hot takes, Andrew. So, and thanks Naveen for offering that up.
All right, next game we got is South Carolina in Columbia. Josh.
I think we talked about this
Chase.
with Chase when we previewed. And I think we went with South Carolina on this game, if I recall. So
Yeah.
give me I think I picked South Carolina to lose this game because they were like I had them like 4-8. So give me A&M. It's at Willie Bryce. I hate South Carolina and I hate all their fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think both of you guys picked
TMU get the
yeah.
job done because I think Shane Beamer will be looking for a job by that point in the season.
Yeah,
So
come on.
like I wanted to think about that because I thought about Chase and I thought about how he might feel if I come off the top rope again. I know he's still got scar tissue from being on that show a couple weeks ago. But yeah, Aggies are going to roll.
Okay. New Mexico State. This is another one we can not spend too much time on.
Yeah.
We can kind of skip this one. It's going to be a
Dub.
win. And then it gets into what I would call the deep end. Auburn and Texas to close out November. Not a happy Thanksgiving for these guys. I don't think that either of these are going to work out in A&M's favor. So I think my overall prediction is 8-4 or 7-5 for A&M. They're not going to be in the top 25. All right. Shall we switch to Vandy?
Yeah, give me the Vandy boys because I'm with you. I'm pretty much chalk with you on those last two games. Auburn's going to roll, and Texas is going to just do whatever they want to do.
All right, Andy. Well, start us off. Virginia Tech.
So, let me just finish wrapping this up for A&M. So A&M, the Vegas line was 8.5. What do you guys think? Over or under?
For wins, 8.5.
Yeah,
under.
8.5.
Going under.
Yeah. All right. I think this is the first time the Lucky Top Sports agreed on a fucking over and under for our team is 8.5. Actually, because sometimes we get teams like Kentucky or Florida or whatever, and the Vegas expectation is so low or so high. We're like, oh, but yeah, sure. But I think this is the first time we got the unanimous decision.
Yeah, I think A&M's looking at a
8.5.
sure 7-5 season.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's move on to Vanderbilt. All right,
Vandy boys.
So let me just preface the Vandy section by saying I saw some tweets this week that said the longest losing streak by a school. And let me ask you guys, which school do you think has the longest losing streak? SEC or not? So conference and non-conference included in the SEC for their history.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I would probably say Vanderbilt.
The answer is Alabama.
Oh, what years?
In the 50s.
Okay.
And that's
before
where it
Bear Bryant.
Where it comes is that again, it's the consecutive, right? So you have to have seasons worth let's say Tennessee, for example. Josh, what is a typical Tennessee SEC East schedule before the reorg? Is, in my opinion, that is some out of conference school and some bullshit school. Then you will play Florida, we play Georgia,
we
play Bama,
Alabama.
we play one SEC West school,
Arkansas,
and then we play
LSU,
and then we play
Kentucky,
two more
Vanderbilt,
SEC school,
then Missouri.
exactly. And then we ended with Vanderbilt Thanksgiving, right? And that's how you craft your 12 seasons. So think about Tennessee, right? They always play Vanderbilt. And that's why I bring this up, the whole bullshit about why, the whole longest losing streak is that Tennessee's like worst season ever and the longest losing streak ever is like 1/4 of Alabama because Alabama didn't have the luxury of playing Vanderbilt every year, but Tennessee did. So, going back to Vanderbilt's schedule again, I said all of that shit to say how shitty Vanderbilt is. Like, we got the luxury of playing Vanderbilt, and that's the only reason that Tennessee has better records on like undefeated schedule and all of that, because every year we were shit. Guess what? We got to play Vanderbilt, and that was an automatic win. So, all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, Vanderbilt, Andrew, I appreciate you taking us through that, but Vanderbilt, we all know, is complete and total ass. They they're in their third season with their head coach Clark Lee, and I think they are at a 25% win clip right
Naveen
now.
and
I
I
think
actually
they're
walked onto
nine
field
and
at
27.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, 9 and
Yeah.
27.
When James Franklin was there.
They're an absolute poverty program. I think their stadium holds 40,000 people, and then when they're playing, when they're playing, 30,000 of that 40,000 or probably even more is the opposing team. So whether that's Tennessee, whether that's Georgia, it doesn't matter who it is. The opposing fan base is just wanting to come and vacation in Nashville for a weekend and watch their team go out there and destroy Vanderbilt.
Let's go through it, right? So Virginia Tech
loss.
L.
Alcorn State win. Georgia State loss.
Whoa. Did they lose to Georgia State?
No, they're gonna lose to Georgia State. And it can't happen to a fucking better group of fucking shitheads than the Vandy boys, because then they will have nothing to hold over Tennessee's head.
Again, like, the only reason I ask because
they play at Georgia State, so they're going down to ATL, baby.
All right.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Vandy, Missouri.
Loss.
Okay.
Loss.
Bama, loss.
Yep. Kentucky.
Loss.
No. Vanderbilt's going to beat Kentucky this year. Hot take.
Whoa. What? What? Wait a minute. What?
Vanderbilt's going to beat Kentucky.
Shit. Okay. Next one's
Ball.
Ball.
Wait a minute, Naveen. You gotta like let this fly like this. Wait a minute. Like, I feel like we should do some checks. Like,
why?
Vanderbilt's gonna beat Kentucky?
Yep.
Why? What makes you say that?
It's just one of those stupid games that Kentucky shouldn't win or shouldn't lose, or Vanderbilt should win. It's just, I think it's coupled at a very inopportune time for Kentucky, and Vanderbilt will basically just.
But you didn't predict that when we're.
I'm switching it up. Kentucky. I'm switching it up.
He's pulling a Kamala.
Yeah, I was on the fence. Oh my God. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, please. This is my place to escape all that wretched misery that plays out in our lives daily.
Okay.
But
all right,
anyway,
fine. Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Kentucky going down to the Commodores this year.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, Ball State
win for Vanderbilt.
Oh shit! They played Texas. What?
Yeah, and
dude, look at this ending schedule. It's not good.
What the hell? They play LSU, Tennessee. Oh, wait a minute. They play Texas, Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, and Tennessee. Oh my God! Wow.
So I think this is a nice player drop here. Five count drop for.
If you guys ever thought that like a banker run wasn't real, here is your fucking evidence. Like, right? I don't know. Like, Naveen, what do you think? Like,
yeah, no.
Does Vandy have a chance in any of these, or
No.
Are you the type to fade the fucking banker run and just bet on player?
So
right here?
I would say that they have a chance to cover spreads. Like,
Whoa, but you
Against
bet
who?
you're at
I
the
would
box
say
table.
South
You're
Carolina.
betting
South
player on
Carolina
this?
is the only one I see them covering a spread.
yeah, I mean, but these spreads could be extremely inflated, right? So you got to remember, right?
Yeah,
At
that's
this
fair
point,
too. That's
these
fair.
are. I don't see a game here that's under like 17, right? Maybe
Fair
South
enough.
Carolina is about 17, right? So
No.
Well, that you're kind of making my point for me about Kentucky. So let's go back to Kentucky for a second. All right. So the series between Kentucky and Vanderbilt is currently I think it's like 48, 42, and 4. You know,
Mhm.
so it's a very close series over time, right? And when they play each other, Vanderbilt's points total is around 16.9 points per game, and Kentucky's is 15.6 points per game on average. So that's why I'm telling you, I think that game has, it's got the potential to be one of those money-making opportunities. If you really look at the numbers and you look at the all-time series between these two teams.
Yeah, and guys, like just to remind you guys, as we come towards the football season, we are going to tell you all of these BBAs. We will do the analysis. We will do all the math for you guys so that you don't have to. And again, like
they won the last game.
It doesn't guarantee that it's gonna happen again. But here at Lucky Duck Sports, we look at things that happen systematically and we say, why does this happen? And we typically, again, there's no guarantee, there's no such thing as a lock, but if there's such a thing, we do promote that we go with a systematic approach, and you're gonna see that during our football season. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll say that last time this game was played, or last time Vandy won was at home. I think 2 years ago, 2022, Vandy beat Kentucky. So it's not out of the realm.
And that was one of Kentucky's best teams. Remember, they had Will Levis. They were ranked consistently in the top 20. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And
that's the type of
Kentucky is set up
that you want to bet.
Yeah, the way Kentucky's set up this year screams 2022 Kentucky vibes to me.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, again, it could be a shit team overall, but that doesn't mean anything against the spread. Just calling it out here.
Yeah, because I think
you're gonna have
in 22. In 22 when they beat Kentucky, I think they'd only won one game.
Yeah,
I think they lost to ETSU that same year when they beat Kentucky.
Right. So I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to cover these spreads.
Right.
So
like, spread is a new man's game.
Yeah. So all losses, maybe, and maybe a couple covers in this 5-game stretch. So let's go out of the schedules and back into some Neyland Stadium talk. Keep it in the state.
I'm gonna deflect this to Josh just because I feel like you're closest to the heart of this, right? So for me, if you ask my opinion, I say, oh fuck yeah, like you guys found ways to make more money, do it. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Here's the thing, and this will come out, and I know that it's kind of started coming out in certain circles on the social medias and stuff, but there will be a time in the near future that there's going to be a requirement for collectives to offer up about $20 million per year for the entire athletic department to be able to fund NIL for all the athletes. So with that being said, there has to be a cash cow. There has to be a well come from somewhere, and why not it be Pilot? And Pilot has done, even when it was owned by the Haslams. And for those of you that didn't know, the Haslams
it's owned by the Buffetts now.
Yeah, they have sold the Pilot franchise to Warren Buffett and his Berkshire Hathaway holdings, right?
And one thing I will remind everyone that's listening to our show about Berkshire Hathaway's, as someone who works on, in the financial industry, is that whenever there's like a change like this, for example, college football having to have sponsors, names on the field, or like naming rights, there's a reason for it, right? And I think like a lot of people are not ready to take that. My honest opinion is that a lot of people are like very like upset about it, and they're not like ready to hear that transition. It's like right now it's Disneyland Stadium, but that contract is only for 20 years. Once that contract expires, it could be called Food City Stadium in Knoxville or whatever. It's the same thing as like, I don't know. I look at LA for example, right? Like it used to be called Staples Center, but Staples Center in that even name itself was a corporate sponsor, like Staples, the company that was sponsoring it. So like now you look at it, it's like crypto center. Okay, like but no one calls it a crypto center.
I don't think the name will be touched, Andrew. Like Neyland's not
gonna. The thing is, Neyland Stadium, they signed the thing that said Neyland Stadium preserved by Pilot, right? There was like the official I guess the press conference is that they didn't want to touch the name of it, but so they want to call it Neyland Stadium, and then that preserved by Pilot, which I think honestly is cool. Again, like I'm a big proponent of capitalism. If you guys haven't, been able to tell through all our podcasts, like I feel like, if athletes could make as much as money as possible through these like endorsements, why not? But I think I do think there's some purists that are like upset that, for example, Josh, I'm gonna ask you, next season there's gonna be a Pilot logo, say, on the 25-yard line. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Even there's precedents for it in the past in the orange and white games. Dish Network being a sponsor for the orange and white games, and they had the Dish Network logo on the field. For
Dish
me,
and Pilot are the two biggest sponsors, right?
Yeah, correct. So, and both, Pilot obviously not now because they're not owned by the Haslams, but we're alums. Haslam Field, the practice facility, the practice facility is named after Haslam, correct? Yeah. So, but I guess to bookend this is really, for me, I don't have a problem with it if they don't try to change the name. So, like for example, Kroger Field. Mm-hmm. Right, in Kentucky, we talked about Kentucky, and we talked about how much of a shit show and poverty program they are as a football program, writ large. They have their name of the field that they play on named after a freaking grocery store. But get it how you get it. I don't think Kroger's shelling out $20 million. But Pilot is shelling out $20 million to us, and we're not.
Let me ask you,
Josh, we're not losing the name, so I don't really have a problem with it.
Like, let's say, obviously, we know that like Kroger Field in Kentucky, shame on them. But let's say, like, if Pilot tried to make Neyland Stadium into the same situation and say, like, this is a
like
Pilot
Stadium.
Like, would you be pissed off?
That's a no starter for me. Like we're not coming to that table to even discuss that.
Okay.
I mean, I think the university would burn to the ground if someone tried to do that. They would light it on fire with fucking Pilot gasoline.
Yeah, I mean that sounds crazy to me.
I just want to talk, man.
I just want to talk about some of the side effects of what you could do with the money, right? Like ultimately, you get
again, like I guess like I'm trying to like approach this from a business perspective that like
I
Haslams,
got some,
right? They've been donating so much money.
yeah,
So like, okay,
I got some
this
takes,
year,
man.
you know,
I got some takes on this. Like you got to pay for Nico's $8 million, right? You got to
yeah.
pay for all these
Absolutely.
5 stars,
Where is that coming from?
right? You got to pay. You got to have you got to have some money kind of set aside, like if they ever decide to do revenue sharing with players.
They
So
are.
you
They're
just
going to
need
do
more
that.
money in general.
They're going to do revenue sharing. There's going to be collective bargaining. All that's coming.
Right. So you need fucking money, man. Inflation at all-time highs. Don't want to talk too much on politics, but shit is expensive to run any business right now in America.
Yeah. So if you want to put Pilot on the field, do it. Put it everywhere you want. Just don't rename the stadium and rename the field.
Yeah, just keep getting the 5 stars, sell the rights. It's fine.
I mean, if you go and look at any AP stock photo from the last 20 years, in the background around the stadium, you see Pilot, and then Food City, like all those sponsors around the stadium. For them to put it on the 25, kind of oppo of the SEC logos, I have no problem with it. But as long as they maintain the traditionalism of Neyland Stadium and Shields Watkins Field, I'm good with that. Don't try to come in there with some Food City Center shit at Thompson Bowling Arena. We're not doing that. I didn't like that when they did that to the Tommy Bowl. But to your point, Naveen, appreciate your takes there. Yeah, we do have to have money. Collective bargaining is going to be a thing. Revenue sharing is going to be a thing. So we do have to have the money. But I just think it's funny. Like I've seen some malcontents amongst the fan base that they're not really keeping those things in perspective. And then you have the opposing fan bases that want to come and chime in and be like, oh, Tennessee fans have been making fun of other people's, Kentucky's low-hanging fruit, so we'll continue to use them as the example. But Kroger Field, like there was no legacy football player or coach that they had named their field after. They just came in and it just deboed the field and was like, yeah, it's named after a supermarket. And to your point about the money, I don't think that Kroger's sponsorship dollars is going nearly as far as Pilot's, and Pilot isn't even asking for the naming rights like Kroger does. So yeah, cool. That's where I'm at. As long as we keep it Shields Watkins and Bob Neyland on the name of the stadium, I'm a happy camper, and I think the majority of Tennessee fans would be.
Last topic for today, we're going to be talking about the Olympics. Olympics closed on Sunday. I will say they did a pretty good job on the closing ceremony. I don't know if you guys watched it. A lot less controversial, a lot cooler, a lot more art going on.
Hey, Snoop Dogg, baby.
So one thing I will say is I think like it's interesting to see how the medal table looks based on like where you are, right? Like me growing up, like following whatever the convention that the East Asia follows, and then like now that where we are, and like this year, obviously there's no like debate like as to like, okay, whether it's by number of gold medals or number of total medals, but I just feel like it's an interesting like situation to talk about, right? It's like,
USA,
hey,
baby.
like what is
We're
like
the best.
what is the best way to think about like the medal table? Is it by gold medals? Is it by gold medals but some weighted based on XYZ?
I think it should go by a score, right? Like, but heavily weight golds higher. So if you want to do like, let's say 5 points, 2 points for 5 points for gold, 2 points for silver, 1 point for bronze, something like that would be good. Obviously, there's some skew when you don't have all the countries participating, right? Like this year, we didn't have
Russia.
We didn't have Russia. So we saw some like
stop
Japan
invading Ukraine and you can play in the Olympics.
Okay. Just saying, Japan was third. Didn't expect that.
Right.
But I think growing up, it is like an international way of doing it. To only rank by golds, I'm okay with that, honestly.
Yeah, no, like that's how I like thought about it too. It's like I feel like every other country does it that way, right? Like it's like by the gold, and the silver plus bronze is like the tiebreaker.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, technically, in that standard we tied with China, but in the overall we crushed everybody else by like
Yep.
30,
Yep.
30 medals. So just
I
want
mean,
to keep
yeah,
that
so,
top
yeah.
of
We, I
mind.
mean, we tied China.
USA.
We tied China for golds, but I mean, we destroyed them in silver and bronze.
Right.
You know, so it's not even a debate. The
Yeah.
fucking
But like it's
red,
like
white, and
I
blue.
think it's like where it comes is like say like for example like Australia, right? Tons of like silvers and bronze because like they have so much shit in like swimming. It's
Sure, I
like
mean
like
but they were pretty. I think their medal count was basically average across gold, silver medal. I think it was like
yeah.
18, 19, 16.
Yeah, I think that's where it's like, hey, like how do you actually count?
Population weighted medal index.
Well, I honestly think it should go by gold first,
Per
then
capita.
tie. No, not even no capital. No, sorry about that.
Okay, all right.
What the fuck, dude? Do you give out Super Bowl based on your like population of the city?
No,
Like,
no, no.
oh,
All
wait a
right,
minute,
come
like,
on. Get to it.
oh,
Let's go. Come on.
Atlanta, like Falcons, like, oh, you don't get to win this because you know what? Like, to me, like it's like weighing shit doesn't matter, but like I do think like to me, it's like yo, to quote the greatest like philosopher of our lifetimes, Ricky Bobby. I don't even think I have to quote this. Like, if you don't know
Looking
what Ricky
first or
Bobby
last,
said,
yeah.
you shouldn't be listening to podcasts. But hey, look, again, like if there is like a country that had a bunch of these medals, props to them, right? And at the end of the day, I just feel like, what is the Olympics supposed to be about? It is like that you're supposed to compete and try to get the best available like records or whatever. And going off of that, I think like, look, hey, whatever, like as long as there's no like disqualifying shit, whatever the record you get, it is what it is. And I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like when it comes to Olympics and when it comes to like the world record, that's how it goes. It's like, hey, unless there's like a disqualifying factor, like the winners are the winners.
Yeah. I just want to
And that's
touch
kind of
on
like how it goes with the running and the swimming, right? It's like remember we had like the swimming the USA girl that like had she thought she had the bronze, but like the way she kicked off when she turned was like illegal. And there's like everybody thought, oh well, she got her medal robbed. But to me it's like, oh, she didn't get her medal robbed. It's she broke the rules.
committed a foul, right?
Yeah, it's like she didn't qualify, so I did like she didn't win at all. So
Yeah. Just wanted to touch on USA basketball a bit. They, hung in there versus France. Took honestly the best performance I might have seen out of Steph Curry I've ever seen in my life
yeah,
in terms of being
seriously.
clutch.
It's probably the best international basketball game I've ever watched.
Right.
I don't know, man. I watched 2008 Redeem Team Kobe shit.
I mean, it was good.
That was like
but
pretty intense.
I don't know that it was as dramatic as what Steph Curry did in the last 3 minutes of that basketball game.
I agree with you. I think it's because the competition was like weaker.
Yeah, I would say that.
All right. Here we go. Here's the old man on the porch.
I am
Michael Jordan.
I am the
he
old
played against
back in my days.
harder competition. Yeah.
Back in my days. That's.
I will say that the
Wemby.
rest.
I think Wemby solidified himself as a top 5 player right now, like in the world.
I agree with you. You guys saw Wemby crying after the gold medal, like I guess the ceremony or whatever. I feel like that's when you know, oh fuck, this guy is gonna give trouble to USA. Like,
yeah, and in 2028, watch out for the
yeah,
French.
like you guys see him crying. I was like, oh fuck. Like, I don't know, like how to describe that. Like, it's like it'll be like a Zidane crying in like a 2006 or 2002 like
Yeah.
World Cup. Wemby was like bawling his eye off. I was like, oh fuck, like this guy is dangerous for like next World Cup or next Olympics.
I will say it speaks to a little bit of the NBA in general, right? The rest of the world has caught up. The last time an American player has won the MVP is 2017, 2018 James Harden, right? And we've never had a stretch like that. So it was Giannis,
Yep.
Jokic, Embiid, Jokic, right? So
Oh, so we're not counting Jokic as American. He's American though, right?
No,
He played as American in the Olympics.
Oh, you mean Embiid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, right? Like
Jokic
was
wasn't
on
on
Team
America's
USA.
team.
He said Jokic, but he meant Embiid, I think. So
No, I said Embiid.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But I don't know.
Not Jokic. Obviously, Jokic should be, but I mean like Embiid as in like for the, I guess like a passport wise,
yeah,
right?
because I was about to say I saw those Serbian snipers deal a lot of good shots to Team USA.
Yeah, that was not a like,
that was not a comfortable game to watch at all.
And still, like, if you think about it, it took an incredible, like, life-changing performance,
Herculean,
by Steph Curry to you know, to close out the game. I'm not going to say that they wouldn't have won without him, but you can make the argument they could have lost without him, right? So
let me ask you this question, right? Like, in those types of situations, like how do you judge that, right? It's like, for example, Steph Curry sucked ass for first 4 games. Arguably, like, they could have like not even gotten to a semifinal or finals because like Curry sucks so bad. But then like Curry, obviously you saw, you know, against semifinals or finals, you know, did his own thing. So when you look at it collectively, like how do you judge his performance? You say, oh, and you know, your boy Ant actually like said like, yo, without Steph wasn't gonna show up to Paris until 2 days ago or something like that, right? So like,
yeah,
even like the teammates are talking shit. So like, how do you defend that? How do you defend like Curry not showing up, and how do you like define how much worth of it was it that he showed up finally? Like, how do you quantify that?
We just talked about it, right, Andy? Like, it matters what happens to get you the gold.
Yeah,
right?
the fucking lights were on the brightest.
Yeah,
And
when the lights
he
were on the
showed up.
brightest, he showed up. Yes, you could have argued that more Tatum, less Curry in the first 4 games. That's for
Jason
sure.
Jason Tatum got absolutely screwed.
I think
But
there's a
Josh, do you think he got screwed, or do you think he just wasn't worth it?
I think he got cucked by Steve Kerr.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Steve Kerr had an agenda against Jason Tatum.
Why?
Hands down. Shit, I don't know. Jason Tatum, like, you know,
I don't know.
There's probably
I guess I'm like,
hold on.
Let me
finish.
Like, I feel like Jason Tatum is like a shit player. Hot take, maybe.
So, Josh, continue your point, man.
Yeah.
I think there's a myriad of reasons on why, you know, the cucking happened between Steve Kerr and Jason Tatum.
All right, let me ask you this: is LeBron James or Steph Curry the bigger player for Team USA basketball?
LeBron.
I'd say LeBron,
Okay.
but I think as the performance went, I think Steph
Even
Curry,
though LeBron had the LeBron's moment.
No, I would say LeBron didn't have the LeBron moment when it mattered against France. He was turning the ball over. He was very inconsistent.
Moment, losing to Manu, Argentina. You know, LeBron 2006.
Okay, so you couple that with how he played in this Olympics, and then
You think he redeemed
that
himself?
against juxtaposition. No, I think juxtaposition that against how Steph Curry, played in the championship game or the gold medal game. I think Steph Curry is more of a in my mind. I'm not saying he's the MVP of the team, but I would say he's more MVP worthy than LeBron 14
He's
USA
the
right now.
final MVP, right?
Correct. Yeah, like if you're comparing it to like an NBA Finals game, I would give the Finals MVP of the Olympic game to Steph Curry.
It kind of reminded me of the one season Chelsea had with Fernando Torres. Where Steph Curry being Fernando Torres, I know that's an insult to him, but all season, right? They're like, oh man, why do we pay this guy so much money? Until he had the one.
You just need one game to prove
yourself.
yourself.
Just need one game to show up, and sometimes it's about you not being on the other team, right? So, what did the Warriors need Kevin Durant?
No,
maybe, but they needed him to not be on the Thunder, right? So
that's right.
It's a simple.
It goes back again to the logic of addition by subtraction, right?
Yes. So I think it's some of that. Not that Curry can play for another team.
So that's all. Like I agree with you guys. Like, I feel like Curry made that significant amount of impact that it, like it's causing all of us to debate, which will never end. But again, to that spirit, and to wrap this up, how do you guys think about the medal table, right? So, this Olympics, U.S. and China tied in terms of the gold medals.
Andy, we just talked about the medal table, man. We just
but like now I feel like the Olympics is officially over. We have to talk about it again, because it's like how we rent. It's like you can talk about who's the best team in the SEC during the season, but like once the SEC championship is over, you have to talk about it again. Like, hey,
did we not just discuss that?
I think honestly, it's only the golds that count. And
and
it was
only that. But like, what do you do when it's tied?
Yeah, but we had 100. It was 126 to 91. Like it's a joke to even bring it up.
Rank it by silver then.
By silver,
it was the same logic.
Yeah,
right?
40.
But
40,
what if
44,
there's like
42.
less
like
silver,
we win in every category.
But total medal count was greater.
Still ranked by silver.
Yeah, it's
still ranked by silver.
I guess.
But you're gonna put premium on gold.
But the USA is still dominant, and that's what I was saying. That's what I think. That's what I said when we were talking about it earlier. 40, 44,
yeah,
42.
Guys, I only bring this up because I saw some like the Twitter feeds that were like, "Oh, well, China and USA tied for gold, but Chinese Taipei plus Hong Kong technically counts as China." Again, like, I'm not saying I believe in that, but like I've read some shit that were advocating for that, and I just wanted to be like, "Whoa, what is this?"
There's no, I mean, there's no debate. I mean, to your point, Bobby, Ricky Bobby, first or last. I think that's what you quoted earlier. So USA 126 total medal count. Even though we tied for gold with China, I mean, to Naveen's points, silver 44, bronze were 42. We dominated everybody in every category. We tied with the golds, but overall medal counts 126. So. If you don't fucking
what do you guys think for 2028?
You're not going to.
How many goals should we crash? Like, should we cross the next, like the second place by in terms of the goal count?
So we're the host, right? So we're gonna get the skewed categories again.
Dude, there's a flag football category. Come on,
right?
So, we got flag football. That's gonna be a big one.
It's like Tyreek Hill going against some like Indian dude. Like, come on. It's a guarantee.
Lamar Jackson, Terry Gill, whoever you need to play for flag football. Maybe we'll create a team if this podcast is still going on in 4 years. We'll pick our team. But stay tuned for that. I do want to say we covered the schedules. We covered a bit of the best bets. We got multiple looks at medal count We talked about the USA Olympics, Neyland Stadium, now presented by Pilot Field. Bunch of topics.
Preserved
by Pilot Field. No, preserved by Pilot. And a bunch of other topics. Stay tuned. Football season 24 days away. Stick
Can't
with
wait,
us
man.
at
It's gonna be fun.
betstamp.com/LockyTopSports, signupexpert.com/LockyTopSports. For Josh, Andy, and myself, go Vols, and good night.
GBO, guys.